Hey dorks. Vaporwave is as much a vibe as it is a music genre. The story of Vaporwave has been told many times by better storytellers than I, so I'll leave the details to them. But for the uninitiated, Vaporwave is usually electronic music that's been slowed down and distorted to sound dreamlike and nostalgic. For me, it reminds me of days home sick from school. Vaporwave as a genre was born on the internet, but really exploded into the public consciousness in 2011 with an album entitled Floral Shop by an artist going by the alias Macintosh Plus. Earlier this year, I added a Macintosh Plus along with some Midi equipment to my collection, so I thought I'd try to show my love for the album by making some Vaporwave of my own with music composed, recorded, and arranged on my Macintosh Plus to celebrate Marcintosh 2025. First things first though, what is the Mac Plus? The simplest description is that it was the realization of the vision of the first Macintosh from 1984. It's powered by the same 8 MHz 68000 CPU as the 128 and 512K versions before it, but it can now be equipped with a maximum of 4 megs of RAM. It has an 800K floppy drive, a built-in external SCSI port, and 0 fans. Launched in January of 1986, the Mac press at the time was high on the extra peripheral connectivity and extra RAM, but rumors swimming around before the announcement were hyping the possibility of color and expansion slots, so the reviews have a tinge of disappointment. The Mac Plus is the first Mac I ever experienced. There were a pair of them in every classroom in my school in 6th grade, and they were the primary machines in the computer lab as well. This is how I fell in love with computers. Today, cheap Mac Plus machines are plentiful, but the keyboards and mice can be a chore to find at a decent price. Thanks to my friend Ron from Ron's Computer Videos, I was able to get a hold of the keyboard so I can make my machine complete. Mine is of course maxed out on RAM, and I'm using a blue SCSI for storage. If you're curious about what kind of shenanigans you can get up to with the blue SCSI, check out some other videos on my channel. Most of them involve using a blue SCSI in one way or another. Along with the requisite mouse holster, another modification I've installed on my Plus is a battery box that I designed that allows the use of a CR2032 battery instead of the weird leaky battery the machine normally uses. A battery isn't required for use of the machine, but it is pretty nice that it can keep the correct date and time and also remember your mouse speed settings. Since the battery is so much smaller than the original, there's a bunch of extra room in the battery compartment now. So I thought I'd fill up that empty space with a VGA port connected to a Mac Pico vid from Ron's Computer Videos. These are such a cool, affordable way to get VGA out of these old machines for video capture purposes or just impressing your friends. Normies love when you pull out the old classics and hook them up to your TV to make them watch you play Dark Castle, right?
Yeah.
There are a couple ways you can wire this thing up, but I chose to do it on the back of the analog board. Another change the Plus brought to the Mac platform was the 8-pin mini-DIN serial ports used for modems, printers, and networking. Soon after these serial ports were made available, all kinds of peripherals appeared, including one that's vital for my project today, the Mini Mac Man from Midi Man. This allows me to hook up a MIDI keyboard to my Mac's serial port to play music. One area the Mac is lacking though is being powerful enough to actually synthesize sounds in real time while I'm playing. For this, I'd have to use an external MIDI box. I went online looking for a Roland MT32, but the prices leave much to be desired. Fortunately, there's an open source alternative that's nice and cheap called the MT32 Pi. As the name suggests, it's a board that sits on top of a Raspberry Pi that facilitates the emulation of the MT32. There are pre-made boards you can get for this, but that's not really my style, so I pulled a Pi out of the drawer and got my breadboard out and started building. Once I was sure everything worked fine, I moved everything onto a proto board I could use as a Raspberry Pi hat and designed a little case for it. Now that we've got the hardware squared away, let's talk about the software. Many of the digital audio workstation software packages available today had their start back then, like Cubase, Digital Performer, Mastertracks Pro, and Pro Tools. For the music I make for this channel, I usually use Logic Pro, so I wanted something that worked somewhat similarly and ended up settling on Passport Tracks, which is a light version of Mastertracks Pro. Kinda like GarageBand is for Logic Pro today. The low resolution of the screen on the Mac Plus and the low memory requirements for this program, along with a friendly Mac-like interface, were the deciding factors for using Tracks. Making music in Tracks is pretty simple. You have a track list where you can assign specific instruments and record segments. You can go into the step editor, which has a piano roll style interface that'll be familiar to users of modern DAW software today. Then in Song Editor, you can arrange the segments into a full song. I'm not a pro musician, I just do this stuff for fun and to have my own music to talk over on my videos. My approach to making a song is to create an 8-bar loop or main stack that just sounds good to me, featuring a decent base of elements for a song that sound good together. I don't go in with a plan or any ideas really, I just let things come naturally while I'm in the software. Then I arrange those into a full song and add stuff to it along the way. This technique is described in detail in the YouTube channel Synthwave Dojo, which I've linked in the description. Starting out, let's make some drums. This is a really simple pattern here. It's much easier for me to draw them out in the step editor here than to play them in with my keyboard. I'll let the computer handle the precision. And let's throw on some bass. 8th and 16th notes in quick succession usually sound pretty good to me. I play these in with the keyboard, and then use the quantize function to scoot the notes around so the timing is beat perfect. Then I can copy and paste those to complete the loop. Now it's time to add some chords for some atmosphere. I just select an instrument, let my looped drums and bass play in the background while I ad-lib something that sounds good. When I'm satisfied, I'll record, and then go into the step editor and fine-tune. I'd like to add an arpeggio to this, so let's have the loop play while I select an instrument that sounds good. While messing around in here, I hit on a sequence I liked, so by the time I was done selecting the instrument, I knew exactly what I wanted to record. Time for a melodic element. I have a little something in mind, something 80s and dramatic. This took me a while to find the right sound, but once I did, it just clicked. Then I recorded and cleaned it up. Let's add another melodic element for some variation. This melody came quicker and built on the atmospheric sound. It was pretty simple, so it didn't require nearly as much cleanup. Time to add some extra stuff like drum fills and a cymbal crash, which always sound cool. I just play these in, quantize them, and move on. I kind of want to have something like a saxophone solo in here, so I try my best, but with the tools at hand, I doubt I'm going to be able to get anything realistic sounding. I still give it a go, and it sounds alright. Time to arrange it. In the song editor, black segments have recordings, while white segments are empty. You can copy and paste segments and move them around, so I'm just going to arrange everything here into an intro, verse, chorus, verse, solo, outro arrangement that's great for backing tracks. This arrangement is what you're hearing now. This can be a little tedious here with the tiny user interface elements, but it's not too bad. This is where modern software shines because you can zoom in, drag, stretch, and loop things much easier. But for the time, this is really impressive. Once I was done with the arrangement, I played it out of the MT32 into my modern machine to record it. Alright, now let's ruin it. The Mac Plus really has no hope of being able to take the recorded form of the song and manipulate it in such a way that I can give it the Vaporwave treatment, so for that we're moving to my modern machine and doing it in Logic Pro. This is really oversimplifying it here, but for this song I'm going to slow it down, pitch it down a bit, throw a ton of reverb on it, and some distortion with a plugin called Super VHS. This treatment gives it a really dreamy, ethereal vibe. If you're still here, thanks for watching. This was fun for me to make a joint tribute to a great computer and a great musical genre. Happy Macintosh. If you're interested in watching me do more stupid stuff with computers, stay tuned.